Hello everyone. As we are getting prepared for the Vitaly Churkin Moscow International Model UN 2024, the Department of Diplomacy and the C-MIMUN Secretariat hosting interviews with renowned Russian diplomats who know everything about the United Nations. I think it will be very interesting for our viewers and listeners to know more about the UN and the UN Secretariat from the inside. And today we decided to talk about UN field missions. And we invited an outstanding Russian diplomat and statesman, Mr. Igor Khalevinsky. Mr. Khalevinsky is currently chairman of the Russian Diplomat Association. He's former Deputy Minister of Trade and Employment of the Russian Federation, former Ambassador at Large at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Russia, and former Head of Liaison Office of UN in Belgrade. He occupied this position in a difficult time from 1998 to 2003. And what is especially dear to my heart, that Mr. Khalevinsky is, like myself, graduate from MGIMO. He studied at MGIMO in the 60s and graduated in 1967, and throughout all those years he was inseparably connected with his alma mater, and we are very happy to welcome him at MGIMO again. Welcome. Good afternoon, Mr. Khalevinsky.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you very much. I'm really very moved that we are participating in an event within the Churkin model UN. With Vitaly Churkin, he was my close friend. Actually, before my work in Belgrade, Vitaly Churkin has been traveling in the former Yugoslavia, attending some UN convoys, and somehow I took up his task when I came in 1998. So that was, of course, the most hard posting, due also to those world events like NATO bombing, NATO operation in Yugoslavia, because all was all right in Yugoslavia before that bombing. But I got that appointment actually after the death of our ambassador Yuri Mякotnych. Actually, at that time, there was unprecedented lack of trust between Serbia within former Yugoslavia and Croatia, and he had to go to Sarajevo as headquarters of the UN mission on MIC. It was he was not allowed, it was not possible for him to get a Serbian driver.
So he drove himself.
He has been driving himself and got sleepy or got tired, because actually I drove many times from Belgrade to Sarajevo by that highway. It is so good, you really are falling asleep. So Yuri Mякotnych, really great.
Very person. Sorry, he was a nice man. I knew him.
Person, yeah. I knew him, his work for the Indochina reconciliation process, Geneva talks, and all the thing. So that was the task. So when I came to Belgrade, it was Milosevic time. There were no problems, and I think I placed a kind of a announcement in some public network that I arrived to Belgrade. I was received by authorities in a calm, nice manner. And when Hungarian ambassador was giving me to say goodbye dinner in 2003, the British ambassador rose up and said, yes, we welcome you since 1998, and wrote that my announcement that authorities welcoming good. I said, this is diplomacy, why not? But really, of course, without telling why, but I have got in 2-3 days before the bombing a telegram from the UN headquarters that I should immediately send outside Yugoslavia all nationals, citizens of NATO countries. About Russians, there were no question. We could stay. And then in 2-3 days, they started bombing.
So it was a message to you that something bad is going to happen.
Yeah, but nobody, because my first actually morning, the 24th March 1999, there was a smoke because the first stroke was on the headquarters of the Union of Communists of Yugoslavia. But the bomb went through the whole multi-storied building, from the roof to the
floor.
Go down.
Yeah.
And but the antennas stayed intact. So next night they sent a rocket which cut by knife, that antenna. So for me and for all my staff also, it was really horrific scene. Just European country is being bombed. My goodness, just we had all this thing in 1945, and that's all right. But now, the Yugoslav at that time took the message in strong manner, with good spirit. They were collecting on the bridges in order to prevent the bombing of the bridges. But as that Western style, they didn't care, just they bombed the TV station with the stuff. Just actually, then they bombed this Chinese embassy, and actually they were pretty sure that it was the Chinese embassy, because 3 rockets hit the embassy, Chancery, and the 4th hit the residence of the Chinese ambassador.
So it could not be a mistake.
But it didn't explode. Oh. They didn't want to see the Chinese ambassador broken in pieces.
But you were not evacuated from Belgrade. You stayed in Belgrade all the time.
Yes. But the Chancery has been destroyed. Then they have been given another site and started to construct a new. The Chinese ambassador was my friend there. That is really interesting.
What you're telling us, Mr. Khalevinsky, is a graphic example of destiny of a diplomat. You never know where you are going to be tomorrow, where you are going to be sent by your government, what kind of an experience you are going to go through in various capacities. So you, of course, did not expect that your mission in Belgrade will turn out to be a nightmare.
Yeah, I came just to a normal country, 1998. Milosevic was managing to run the country. Kosovo affair was not so in fire. But then escalation took place. It was predetermined, and but to help, maybe there is some question: what are the qualities of diplomat? I think one should be sport friendly. Since fourth year at the institute, I started to play tennis.
This is a good piece of advice for our students.
Yes.
Don't waste your time.
And for diplomatic life, tennis is very good. You are going to a diplomatic club, playing tennis, drinking beer, and nice talk.
Well, from tennis and beer, let us switch to the UN.
Yeah.
This is, of course, of great interest to our students. And I believe that we should recognize that UN field missions, which are the most difficult job for the UN civil servants, are doing an incredible job. But it is obvious that they have also some problems that we need to discuss. On the one hand, UN field missions are helping countries to navigate from difficult past to the future, from conflict to peace. And currently there are 12 peacekeeping missions. 11 peacekeeping missions, you know better, led by the Department of Peace Operations. How are they structured? Which elements do they consist of? You know this part of the UN work better than anywhere else. Who heads peacekeeping missions? How the decision is taken about the head of the mission? Who is getting usually appointed? Westerners or representatives of developing countries? What are the criteria of this choice?
Well,
and, how would you assess in general the performance of the peacekeeping?
No, I would like to give a high appraisal, nice appraisal to the work of UN peacekeeping. It's really already, since the first mission, it is still in Kashmir, since 1978, I think. The decision on organizing a peacekeeping mission is taken by the UN Security Council. Only in case if there are such if there is such situation in the Security Council that even a number of votes, then it could be decided by the General Assembly. But I think it never happened. And the role of General Assembly is to prepare estimates, how many persons, what components, and financial support. That is, General Assembly, the Fifth Committee for Administrative and Budgetary Issues. And before just taking a decision, all reports of Secretary General are sent to the Advisory Committee on Budgetary Administrative Issues. It's a kind of an audit committee of the UN, and I happen to be in 3 compositions of this committee. First and the second time, after some dramatic things, I won't tell you, but then the third one. It's really, it's a purely technical committee, advisory, but sometimes there were political conditions, pressure, and for instance, about financial support of the UNMIC, UN mission in Kosovo, there was a really pressure on our committee. Let's decrease the expenditures twice. So I was telling to the people that we can't do it. It is for the Fifth Committee for General Assembly that they would like to diminish the scope. We are just, especially Chief of UNMIK Commission presented the financial situation to our committee, and we approved, and we have to approve his submission. And but before just that official meeting, the chairman, American lady, she just said, just in colloquial manner, yes, maybe we shall just decrease the expenditure. And next day, when there was official meeting, I was telling that, you see, there was no discussion. I understood your words just like thinking aloud, not a decision of our committee. And we started really discuss, and then a Canadian guy, his son of a former Red Army commander, Kramer from Odessa, he said, yes, that I have the right, we can't do what just the chief of mission submitted, we should approve. And it was really, I just met another case of political pressure when I was 5 years ago a member of the Committee of Experts on Public Administration of ECOSOC. The American guy just unexpectedly, let's discuss Ukraine. I said, what Ukraine? We are talking about governance, electronic government. What Ukraine? And the English woman, chairman, she said, yes, why just we should discuss Ukraine? So that reflects the modern time.
Yes.
Actually, what we have now, it's George Orwell, 1984. When he has written that book, it was said, oh, it is about the Soviet Union. Actually, he was writing about the Western world. He's moving to the platform of degradation, to fakes, when lies are labeled like truth, and so on, not the Soviet Union. And that's why now I am very happy to see more resolute style of talk with the Western partner.
We have no other option. But coming back to the UN field missions, when the scope of the peacekeeping operation is decided, when the budget is allocated for it, when you understand the composition, the number of people of the peacekeeping mission, then the head of the mission is appointed. It is in the hands of the Security Council, isn't it?
I think it is already within the Department of Peacekeeping Operations.
Is it an important decision?
Yes,
who is going to head the mission?
Yes, of course, it will determine what the line direction of the work of the mission. In my case, this UNMIP, UN mission in Bosnia-Herzegovina, with headquarters in Sarajevo. Chief of mission was American General Mr. Klein, and there were several liaison offices, Belgrade, Zagreb, Skopje, Tirana. And besides, we had also in Skopje military mission, then in Dubrovniki military mission. The schedule, the agenda of work of peacekeeping operations is, of course, as you said, navigate from the conflict to the truth, but really trying to restore peace, trying to find compromises, trying to ensure proper elections of new civil administration, annihilation of illegal arms. That's why main components are military, police, civil affairs. But in Belgrade, besides my UN Liaison Office, there were Office of Commissioner for Human Rights, the Hague Tribunal, the Commissioner for Refugees, so World Health Organization, and really interesting nationals of UN of NATO countries have been requested to leave, but people who were heads of World Health Organization, human rights, they were staying. Denmark, Irish, Italian, and among ambassadors, Italian ambassador didn't go away, Slovak, but Czech ambassador fled away immediately, even being with name Ivan.
Okay, Maria?
So you told us about the NATO aggression against Yugoslavia, but even nowadays what we are witnessing is an unprecedented number of conflicts all around the globe. And to prevent a humanitarian crisis, the UN, being the most universal of all international organizations, is expected to give a prompt and comprehensive response. You told us about the process of forming a new peacekeeping operation, but I wonder, how long does it usually take to launch one?
No, it depends on the acuteness of the situation. It could be really made in very drastic measures, but it is not just simple as that, because one should recruit people. In my case, when I came, that UNMIP has been already for years. Actually, I had predecessors like Yura Makatnach. Before me, I replaced the British guy. When I left, he came again, so I was sandwiched between two Brits. Then the process of heads of high level, director level, it is a process for the member state, seconded by the government, yes. The rest are participating in the saying applications to the vacancy posts, but there are 600, 800 applicants, so it is for the personnel clerk to choose. And especially if there are people from Latin America, Africa, they are choosing according to the
So it's a difficult selection between candidates, right?
Absolutely.
So it takes months or years?
No, because people are very much eager. Actually, I got that proposal in December. I sent my consent with that proposal and was sitting in the ministry as ambassador at large. But then in February, a lady from the personnel department, Mr. Khalevinsky, you have to go to your duty station, but I didn't know anything. I said, no, just please, okay, maybe in a couple of weeks, no, next week. I had to pack
your luggage and off you go.
In 2 days, yes.
Interesting. Of course, we all know officers and soldiers who serve in those peacekeeping missions as blue berets or blue helmets. But not many people know that they are not a permanent army. They are actually military men from different countries, and they serve for their own countries. So who are those brave people who come to venues of conflicts and risk their lives for the sake of unknown governments, unknown people, and indeed, like it is stipulated in the UN Charter, save the humankind of the scourge of war.
Yes, in 75 years, there were about 75,000 people served in the military.
Incredible.
Desk from 125 countries, mainly from Asian and African countries. Westerners are not many. But still there was American battalion and in Skopje on Predep, headed by a Polish guy. So they are selected maybe by the National Army. People are guided by the UN idealism, but they are just tasked not to involve in military actions, partiality, and the consent of both parties, sending and receiving, and no military action if only not in self-defense and some other maybe drastic things. So in our case in the mission Bosnia-Herzegovina, there was Russian battalion in Bosnia who took the Pristina airport.
Yes.
I was in Belgrade when this column of cars passed through the city, and when Lavrov was asked, what is the most striking great event for you? Yes, that capture of Pristina airport. Yes, because in 90s there was nothing about Russia. Now it was really stood, but they were in completely hostile environment, Albanian population, and there were very horrific events. One just brought a shock to everyone when a Bulgarian interpreter was going in Pristina in the street with a group of people. One Albanian asked him in Serbian, what is the time? And the Bulgarian answered in Serbian. He was immediately shot
down.
point blank.
Oh my God.
And they thought that it is a Serbian guy. So in that environment, finally it was decided that our battalion would leave Pristina. But our office was a kind of a UN really office. We were analyzing foreign policy, domestic situation with the minorities. I visited all just minorities, Gypsy, Bulgarian, Hungarian, Romanian, Slovak. Then around us, as chief of UN Liaison Office, I was designated by the UN headquarters as a UN designated official for security. So I had two officers. Before there was one Dutch and Russian, and they were analyzing security situation, and I was issuing release orders if someone would like to go to travel. It was after my decision to go. So all this constellation of UN organizations were around me. We had, I don't remember, but regular meetings of heads of remaining officers, and we were discussing what is the situation. Many ambassadors stayed, Italian ambassadors, Spanish, but they were just like me. I am putting on my car Russia because they don't understand what is the UN, that is NATO for them.
To be on the safe side.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you were in close touch with the military people from the peacekeeping operation. With the
Not
head of
in
the...
Sarajevo.
Yes.
But I was in close with the Anpredep in Skopje. Sakalsky was head, Polish guy, and one mission in Dubrovniki. It was because of two disputed coastal area with Serbia and Croatia. Yeah, but there was one a nice serious colonel came from Netherlands. He said, "Why Dubrovniki? People are getting cables from Dubrovnik." He switched for next bay, also beautiful, but not with that name. Tseptak. Who knows? Yes, it is military maybe. And started to send the cables from Tseptak.
Who was at that time the largest contributor of military people to the peacekeeping operations? Pakistan? Bangladesh?
No. I don't just, it is not maybe exactly, but even distribution among African countries. Nigerians, Bangladesh, yes, you're right, Indonesian, really, they were physically suitable to all hardships because of their own hard climate.
Yeah.
But of course Yugoslavia was a resort area for them.
Mr. Khalevinsky, you mentioned our battalion in Pristina, and Russia, as a permanent member of the UN Security Council, has a special responsibility for maintaining peace and security in the world. And in this regard, what is the role of our country nowadays in carrying out UN peacekeeping operations?
Yes, really, due to the fact that we are permanent members, our contribution to peacekeeping operations is a bit higher than of other countries. The role of mainly now, I think, people joining police tasks in the UN mission. Police is, they just really English speaking usually. Military after that battalion in Bosnia, I don't think there are now military detachments from Russia, but police is really active, and they are kept in good esteem.
I have heard that Russia provides helicopters for peacekeeping operations. I myself, I used to be number 2 in our embassy in Indonesia, Jakarta, and we were in charge of East Timor, which is next,
one of the most successful missions.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was privileged to travel once to Dili, the capital of East Timor, and I met about 20 Russian guys who were with a helicopter detachment there, and they performed the functions very well. And of course, as you said, there were also a couple of Russian people included in the UN military police within the mission.
Yeah, helicopters is really a very substantive contribution to the UN peacekeeping from Russia. I saw these helicopters in Lebanon, in Syria, when I was member of that advisory committee for administrative and budgetary questions. We were visiting UN missions. We visited also Democratic Republic of Congo, everywhere, because very devoted staff ours. They're not going to drinking missions. Very enthusiastic, and our helicopters are very efficient, simple and efficient. So that's why they're taken with great pleasure by the UN. And I think there was a Volga company. They were giving their IL-86 for transporting some UN humanitarian cargo and other things.
Yes, indeed. As we all know, the nature of the conflict and violence has transformed substantially for the last several decades. Conflicts now tend to be waged not between countries, but more and more between domestic groups. There has also been a rise of criminal activity involving ransom, for example. Have UN peacekeeping operations changed over the past 70 years in terms of their mandate? You said that they don't have a right to use force and to be involved in the conflict, but they carry arms and they are entitled to a task to defend themselves. Are there any new mandates they received due to this change of the nature of the conflict recently?
It is at the mercy of personnel clerks.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on their level. Maybe, no, but how just to to differentiate 800 applicants, or maybe sometimes 2,000. So, just like in poker, let's do that.
How about peace building? This is a new function which is given to the UN. Are field missions responsible for peace building after the peacekeeping mission is accomplished?
I would like to say that that mission in Bosnia and Herzegovina and MIG, it is already kind of a peacekeeping, peace building, because there is no conflict, and it is already taken not only with the UN but all other missions, UN agencies for human rights, for refugees, health, then UNDP. So this is an accent on those agencies, maybe, because the first really to hush the conflict, to destroy illegal armament, but then different things, and they are taken by UNDP, World Bank. And in my time, just at some stage when the conflict was more or less UNDP arrived, and the guy, Irish guy, was there, and then he was even designated as a representative of the UN Secretary General.
To oversee the whole process?
Yeah.
I see. Those civilians, as you said, in contrast with military people, are they also included in the peacekeeping operation, or
yes.
they have a separate status?
No, they're part of
peacekeeping,
this
peacekeeping operation.
So they're part of my office. And my office was American, Italian, from Uganda, then Dutch military officer, and I have a substantial part of locals. That's why when I arrived to Belgrade, first several months I was talking in Russian, and Serbian were answering in Serbian. In that porridge we understood each other.
This is an interesting question, by the way. It is always on my mind. How you managed to find a common language with all those people which come from not only different walks of life, but also from different countries, different continents. Of course, you had a common language with them, which is English, but in a different way. Was it easy for you to create a comfortable atmosphere of your office?
No, it's not a problem, but
Really?
of course qualities of a manager are very important. When I came there, there was one guy from Russia. Maybe he has been already for years in the UN. Didn't appreciate that Russia is different, and he said, "Igor, you just immediately convene a meeting because they're afraid that a communist is coming." Yeah, no, that people don't know their country. Well, for official things, of course, English. Then I have local stuff, interpreters, written, oral. But then my Russian ambassador arrived to Belgrade, with whom I studied the same year at the institute. And I saw in several months he started just to speak Serbian. Actually, he started to attend lessons given by a Serbian woman who was a child in Moscow with her parents and the Trade Commission, studied in the Soviet school, and she knew what to give to Russians from Serbia. And then I also joined. And then I felt how it is interesting to study a similar language.
You speak Serbian?
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Kako da ne? I speak 6 languages.
Well, you are a very amicable person.
I don't speak Chinese. Sorry,
I'm sure that no matter who were the staffers of your office, you had a very good mutual understanding with them. And it was probably a real pleasure for them to work with such a boss like you.
No, for me it was also a very pleasant guy. We had such a good team. Fantastic. We're still communicating.
Really?
Yeah.
Keep in touch with
Especially
them?
with the Serbian part. They are in different localities in Croatia, in Paris, but still.
This is a true combat friendship, which is forever.
Yep. Actually, now in this situation when everything is put from the right standing, the only thing which would save us human bonds, human contacts. I'm just in some public organization. I'm telling guys just the task is really informal contacts, human rights, because if there are zombie people, you can't do anything.
Exactly.
We have been talking about the UN peacekeeping operations, but in fact, the UN is not the only international body that forms peacekeeping missions. And from 2004 to 2006, you served as representative of Russia to the Collective Security Treaty Organization. And as a regional security organization, the CSTO has the Institute of Peacekeeping of its own. And therefore, the following question arises. What is the difference between the UN peacekeeping missions and the CSTO peacekeeping mission?
Yeah, I became in 1984 first Russian permanent representative to
2004,
the ICTO.
Right? 2004.
2004, yeah,
Yes,
yeah, 2004, yeah.
Actually, you were the first one.
Yeah, the first one. Before they were just forming. And for me it was interesting after UN to the CSTO. But what is really difference, big difference? In STO, we've been talking about only military connections, military support of the army, exchange of experience. Don't say just involvement into domestic affairs. Like UN, it is we are peace builders, but here no. So that is big. Also in the ICTO, also they have rapid deployment task, and countries contributors allocated several detachments from their armies. But I would like to say that it was normal cooperation. I noted respect, because when I joined after into Commission of Council Customs Union Commission, it was for economic struggle, for economic interest. You can't just talk, oh, come on. Everybody is talking about the economic interest. That is really a big difference from ICTO.
So you say that in the CSTO, people had better mutual understanding and the stronger
as
cooperation?
military, they talk about military things. And they talk about military support, that's it. No protection. But Armenia didn't support that.
Mr. Khalevinsky, your experience obtained during your years in the United Nations, did it help you in CSTO?
For the first time when I came to the UN, I was fascinated by that multinational environment, especially when there was voting. You see that voting board, green, red, fantastic. Then you talk to everyone. I remember I was preparing a social summit of 1994-5 in Copenhagen. I talked to Japanese delegation because there was in that declaration of social summit privilege, special interests of developing countries, and I was putting everywhere countries with market economy.
Yes.
And I told, I said to the Japanese delegation, I am giving you one northern territory, please support this. But it was really in an amicable atmosphere. So I am really fascinated by the UN, and my advice to diplomats sometimes to pass through United Nations. That is actually, that is a unique organization. This is our future, if to observe the UN Charter. But multinational, of course, I've been 2 times to Pakistan, there's bilateral relations. I've been to different regimes, but no problem was there. If you know the country, understand, speak language, all doors are open. Once I was invited to Staff College to Lahore to speak about, I think, Soviet constitution. And after that, I was asked, can we have your text? Because I was speaking in Urdu. You spoke Urdu, but you have in Russian. No, it is English. Ah, you've been translating from English to Urdu. So that was really in Pakistan, the Sayub Khan, Bhuta. I've been as a first secretary, then as first secretary, but ambassador said, please accompany me to president. Talks with Soviet ambassadors were fantastic, friendly. So Pakistan is member of 2 aggressive blocs, Central Asia, but according to those talks, there is a great appreciation of the Soviet Union, of Russia. And when Zia-ul-Haq came to power, and first meeting of the Soviet ambassador at that time, Sarvar Zimov, we were sitting in a room with him, and then his daughter entered the room, but she was obviously down child. Maybe Zia-ul-Haq wanted to show humanitarian thing, so then she left. But with Zia-ul-Haq, no problem.
Really?
No problem. Actually, with Zia-ul-Haq, when he died in that air crash, there was one my American friend that died, who was in the same plane. He was first secretary of the US embassy, and I was first secretary of the Soviet embassy. We were speaking Urdu and meeting each other, just speaking Urdu.
In the time, in the middle of the Cold War.
Yeah, we had regular tennis tournaments with the US embassy. We had the regular volleyball. So I don't know why we are told, oh, it's Cold War, Cold War. I was enjoying that Cold War in good Islamabad climate with beer.
Mr. Khalevinsky, you have such a great experience in bilateral relations, bilateral diplomacy, in multilateral diplomacy. I have no doubt that the fact that the CSTO, the Collective Security Treaty Organization that Maria mentioned, is working so good now and performing also its peacekeeping functions very effectively. I think there is your personal contribution in that, for sure.
CSTO is invited usually to the UN, but I doubt if this year they maybe stop to invite for the UN conferences. But usually Barduja, Secretary General, was invited and went to New York. From the very beginning, they started CSTO, NATO, but once I was strolling in my area where I do live, and I was driving a car, and the window from the passenger side was open. I heard the English. Then I saw my friend, British ambassador, with some couple of aged people. I stopped. Luckily, there was an empty place parking. I stepped. I said, "Oh, hello." I knew him when he was chief of Soviet desk of Foreign Office.
Oh, many years.
He said, please, this is member of the Supreme Court of the UK. I have no problem. I am paying taxes. No, just we exchanged the remarks. How are you? I said, I am now representative to CSTO. Oh, organization without substance. I said, come on, no.
This is how they perceive organizations made up by the former Soviet republics, or for example, I remember that in the early 2000s, many people were mocking Shanghai Cooperation Organization, saying that, oh, this is a union of beggars, a union of poor countries. Now, let's look at the SCO member states. All of them are most powerful world economies. The same is with the CSTO.
How are they distributing these things? Cliché.
Yeah.
So he made it just organization without substance. I just got startled. Come on, guy.
I believe that a time will come that in the West they will have to appreciate all the organizations that we created with the help of our allies and our partners. But let's go back to the UN field missions. There's a lot of criticism, especially in the mass media, about the effectiveness of the UN peacekeeping efforts. Of course, the most popular examples of the inability of the United Nations to stop violence were Rwanda, Somalia, where there was a lot of delay, and we have read many analyses of why it happened and who was responsible for that. But do you agree with the growing concern of the expert community, of the mass media, that the UN peacekeeping efforts are not as effective as they could be or as they should be? What transformations are still needed for it to effectively address long-term trends in peace and conflict?
This talk about alleged ineffectiveness started from the very set-up peacekeeping in the United Nations. Really, there was maybe a strong human factor, but one should perfect. I think the rules, conditions are now very rational. If to follow them, that there is no problem. But that should be improved, and it depends much composition of high echelon of peacekeeping missions. One should really select proper persons. I would like to say that in the mission in Bosnia and Herzegovina, there was that General Klein. He was an amicable person. He had a wine plantation and was distributing bottles of wine.
Back in the United States.
Yeah, but I didn't just really once didn't understand when this bombing started. The Yugoslav authorities demanded from me to leave the premises which I was occupying in the finance ministry. It was, they were there, of my predecessors there. They just demanded to leave. But I decided that we should take our equipment, files, after setting on fire many papers, to our own apartments. But that, and then I said a chronicle to the UN headquarters, what happened in these days. And the guy, when we met, Igor, you're a Russian diplomat. Why you shouldn't have stand there? No, I stood. They will just expel us, and then who knows who will be head of the mission after. So then, when the conflict was over, I was given for the office 2 nice buildings. We moved there, and that's all. So that was really, he wanted escalation in order to remove a Russian.
Mm-hmm.
So
you survived very tough times.
That's why Belgrade. I say it's not Pakistan. Pakistan, it was a vacation.
Very, very interesting to hear that. A UN model UN at MGIMO University has become a very, very popular story among students, not only at our university, but all over the country and maybe even overseas. Yes.
Mr. Khalevinsky, being part of the C-MIMUN Secretariat, I can't help but ask you a question concerning our model UN. As you may know, MGIMO has been hosting the Churkin Moscow International Model United Nations annually since 2000, and this year we celebrate its 25th anniversary. And one of the committees, namely the 4th Committee of the UN General Assembly, is actually concerned with the topical issues of UN peacekeeping. So what advice would you give our dear delegates who will be focused on the task to propose new approaches and solutions to improve the UN peacekeeping effectiveness?
The core of the problem human factor, just to select people, because I would like to say my office was compiled of very good people of different nationalities, and Serb guys also. So that is the main issue, because mandate is there, no problem, even money is being given. But now situation on the world level has been worsening by that Western attitude. Now Russia is not allowed to promote some things in the Security Council. Just discussion of 21st anniversary of bombing, they were not allowed. So, yes, we remember Vitaly Churkin was a legendary diplomat. I remember his South Ossetia dialogue, debate. It was really great. That Nikki, US representative, she really wanted to come and
hit him on the head.
But so that is the thing. Much depends on personalities and on students. They should study seriously. UN peacekeeping is very in good manner described in the like thing. Just open United Nations peacekeeping, and then it's fantastic. Just you can write dissertation, lecture. I didn't open the UN site, but I opened in this like thing, very exact, succinct. Also, just what is the conditions. But the main thing is how to push people there.
Yes, to select right people with
absolutely
adequate qualifications. Of course, it is very, very important. I also think, please correct me if I'm wrong, that coordination within the UN peacekeeping operation, UN peacekeeping mission is very important. It seems to me that under current circumstances, in this atmosphere of mutual hatred between the West and countries that they do not like, it is not so easy to have this impartial cooperation between members of the UN peacekeeping mission. What should people do to stay away from politics and do their job in a good way?
No, actually, when I was a member of the Advisory Committee for Administrative and Budgetary Questions, under the pressure of my Polish guy, Abraszewski Andrzej, he was member of the committee, let's just have a monthly meeting with the Eastern Europeans about our meeting. We are just part of 5th committee. And really we were gathering, they were all Polish, Hungarian, Romanian, Czech, Slovak, and we are still friends. But now, officially, it is Iron Curtain. So one should really use these structures for human contacts. Actually, I just congratulated former US ambassador to Belgrade, Montgomery, he answered me, "Oh, how are you? I'm writing about book." Still, he says, I just by accident clicked him Easter. Congratulations. He maybe fell down from the chair. Yes, one should try
You still keep in
this.
touch with those people from the United States, from other countries.
Yes.
Yeah. This is
and
how
one guy
behave.
who brought me to Iowa State to visit Garst farm, which was visited by Nikita Khrushchev. I'm still in contact, and he said, "Oh, I would like to restore this Iowa Stavropol sistership."
Really?
Yeah.
What a great idea! Why not?
Yeah. That's I said, fully support you. Include me in the Iowan delegation.
Mr. Khalevinsky, you mentioned sports as a very important thing for students to go into, to prepare themselves for future diplomatic work. Are there any other criteria or demands for those students who dream about becoming diplomats when they graduate from the university?
Sport is really a must. Actually, I started to play tennis on the 4th floor because my girl was taller and I wanted to grow up.
A very strong incentive, by the way.
But then tennis became just for me years, decades. It's a nice
What should
game.
students pay attention to, apart from sports, apart from tennis? Anything
I think literature. One should read books. I really, once I going, sitting in the airport lounge in Karachi before going to Moscow, and there was in the bar one guy from Switzerland. And I just incidentally in Moscow bought one book by a Swiss author. And I mentioned to him, yes, I read that. Oh, this is Soviet Union. So really, one should be highly educated, language. Actually, I was lucky with the teachers in MGIMO. Our English teacher, she was asking us to learn by heart the dialects of the London Lingophonic Institute. And when I was in Pakistan, many people, "You've been working in London?" I said, "No." And I only just came to me lately that maybe because of those dialects, I got that London Cockney.
You produce a very positive impression on them.
Yeah, so language. Another thing, my dream was to study French because of chanson. I like chanson. So when I was in Pakistan, I visited for 2 times French Cultural Center, audiovisual lessons. Then came to Moscow. I joined the 3rd course of the language courses in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and finished 4-year cycle. That is good, but what is really the essence of French studies? The teacher was giving us songs. We were singing French songs. That is really nice. But the French, really, I remember at lunch, dinner, I spoke French with nice wine.
Surprising everybody around.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Khalevinsky, you are the chairman of the Russian Diplomat Association. Are you the only one with the UN experience in your associations?
I think yes.
Okay.
The only one.
Others are diplomats who used to be involved in bilateral diplomacy. So you are the master of absolutely indispensable knowledge and experience in terms of the United Nations.
No, I really strongly recommend to pass through United Nations, UN body. You've been to several.
Well, I served in the Russian UN mission to the United Nations, not in the Secretariat. Yeah.
As a Chinese?
No. I was during the Lavrov time in late 90s. When you were in Belgrade, I witnessed the aggression of NATO against Yugoslavia from the other side of the Atlantic Ocean.
No, really, just. And then the headquarters. Of course, the UN at that time in 80s, 90s was much cozier. Now just they liquidated that bar on the delegates lounge.
Really?
Yeah, it was on the second floor.
What's a pity?
It is one huge hall like in the railway station.
Mr. Khalevinsky, we thank you very, very much for this dialogue. I think it was exciting, and hope not only for Marie and me, but also for those who will watch this interview and learn so much from you about the United Nations from the inside, about the United Nations field missions and the peacekeeping operations from the inside. I hope that with your interview, with your knowledge, with your experience, our UN model participants are much better equipped to play the game, which is going to be held here at MGIMO University from 14 to 19 April, just in a couple of weeks' time. And it seems to me that when they play the part of national delegations during the model UN game, they will remember your stories and your words. So thank you very much for this unbelievably interesting dialogue. And I also would like to thank Maria Savenkova, Deputy Secretary General of the C-MIMUN, who co-hosted this interview, and me, Kirill Barsky, wish you, our dear friends, all the best. Please keep posted on our future releases, and good luck. All the best.
Bye-bye.